The automatic doors sighed like a tired lung and let Marcus Thompson into his own store. He wore a ball cap pulled low, thrift store denim, steel toe boots with scuffed toes. The security guard barely glanced up. A cashier waved him toward the time clock with the practiced warmth that costs nothing and saves lives. Fluorescent tubes hummed. Air conditioning pushed a breath of lemon and dust across the vestibule. He slowed, letting the store swallow him as if he were new. The ceiling felt lower than he remembered. Aisles gleamed with machine-bright wax. End caps promised holiday deals 3 weeks early. Overhead, a camera dome blinked its tiny green LED like a heartbeat that didn't trust itself. He walked past customer service and into the staff corridor. Farther in, the floor changed from showroom gloss to utility matte. Smudges darkened at the door frames like old fingerprints. A poster about safe lifting peeled at one corner, revealing yellowed tape beneath. He read the edges of a life he'd never had to live. Then he heard it. A thin sound through the cinder block, not music, not pipes, crying. It came from the employee restroom at the far end. He stopped without meaning to. The fluorescent over that door stuttered, then steadied. A mop bucket stood beside the threshold, water gone gray, a smell of ammonia and time. He reached for the handle and paused. The crying paused with him, as if it could hear his hand. In the quiet, a slow drip ticked from somewhere unseen. 2 quick taps, then one long, 2 short, one long. The rhythm of a warning pretending to be plumbing. He knocked with 2 knuckles. "Excuse me." Silence drew tight. A paper towel dispenser chattered once. Bravery rehearsing. "You okay in there?" He tried. "I'm fine." A voice said, wrecked and small, "Just give me a minute." He should have walked. He didn't. His hand dropped to his side, empty of authority, full of something that wasn't. The corridor light caught a flash on the floor beneath the door. He crouched without thinking. A metal name badge lay face up on the tile, half in shadow, half in cheap fluorescence. Maria Santos, custodial. It looked heavy for its size, like it had learned something about gravity. "Take your time," Marcus said. He meant it more ways than one. Footsteps came from the sales floor. A wheeled cart squeaked. He straightened and stepped back 2 paces. Neutral. New. Nobody. The door opened. She stood there with wet eyes and the posture of someone bracing for weather. Petite. Early 40s. Hair twisted into a bun for practicality. Uniform faded at the seam. Her hands were cracked where the knuckles should have been soft. Cleaning chemicals had etched themselves into her skin like a second job. "I'm sorry," she said, not looking at him. "I shouldn't be. It's okay. I need to get back." Her gaze dropped to the badge. She bent for it, failed the first grab, tried again. The pin scraped tile. The sound was small and brutal. He let her have the seconds. The store didn't. "Long morning?" he asked. She clipped the badge to her shirt, eyes still wet, mouth steadying by force. "Just life. I'm Mike." The alias felt like gravel. "Started today." Her eyes measured him the way people learn to measure danger. A quick scan foretells. Shoes, hands, posture. He kept his shoulders a touch rounded. He let his voice be the color of asphalt. She found no threat and found no help and settled for civility. "Welcome," she said. They moved into the corridor's traffic without touching its walls. A laminated schedule hung under a cracked acrylic cover. Sharpie lines crossed days out. Names. Overlapped names. Hours were slashed. Rewritten. Slashed again. It looked like someone had tried to edit a life with a knife. "Is that this week?" Marcus asked. Soft. She nodded. "And last week? And next?" He counted her name by instinct and hated himself for being surprised. 21 hours. 35. 14. A pattern with the decency to be cruel, not consistent. Store's busy, he said. Seems like They do, she said. Just not me. Not all of me. The corner of her mouth tried to lift and failed. I talk too much. The cry's echo still hung in the corridor. He wanted to hand her something heavier than words. He had none. He had a cap. You okay to work? He asked. Working is the only part that's okay. The radio on her belt crackled. A tinny voice asked for paper towels on aisle 12. She flinched, not at the work, at the attention, and started moving. He walked with her to the supply closet. Inside, metal shelves held a rationed war, 5 rolls of trash liners, 6 bottles of floor cleaner, a box of gloves that said, large. When her hands were not, she tugged a mop from its hook and winced when the handle slipped. Her left leg favored something invisible. You hurt? He asked. Old shoe, she said. New floor. He took the mop without asking and held it until she got the closet door to behave. She glanced at him like you glance at a dog that didn't bite. He handed the mop back. Gentle. Why'd you cry? The question came out like a man who didn't know the rules here. She shut the closet. The latch didn't catch. She tried again. My daughter. He waited. Pediatric cardiology, she said, and the words took effort. They moved up the surgery. Next month, he pictured his own daughter at 8, knees grass-stained, laughter easy. He put the picture away. The store had no place for it. That's soon, he said. It's far, she said, eyes losing and finding focus between the tile and something else. Insurance is the bridge. What happens if it cuts out? We swim. A breath that wasn't a laugh. We drown. The radio crackled again. 12 is still wet. Someone complained. Customer slipped. I have it, Maria said into the mic, composed by duty. She started down the corridor, limp, small but present. He fell into step. They passed the break room. A corkboard smothered in flyers. PTO requests. Denied. Sign-up sheets for potlucks nobody had time for. A printed employee of the month photo that looked staged into exhaustion. A laminated card listed the Integrity Hotline and a promise in corporate font. A thumbtack held a cartoon of a raccoon mopping a flood with a tissue. Does that hotline work? He asked. Voice casual. It rings, she said. Someone answer. If you speak their language, she didn't say which language she meant. A floor worker brushed by with a box cutter and an apology. The apology was for existing in narrow space. Marcus stepped aside. The camera dome hummed its little LED again. 2 short, 1 long. No, that was the AC. No, that was the store teaching him how to hear. They reached aisle 12. Paper towels had been raided down to cardboard ribs. A yellow, caution, sign leaned like it needed one. The tile showed a dark crescent, where a bottle had broken, or a child had been clumsy, or a night had been hard. Maria knelt with the mop, steadying the bucket with her knee. You don't have to help, she said without looking up. I don't mind. People mind later. He watched her work as if the stroke of a mop could be handwriting. She moved in practiced arcs. Pressure like patience. He could see her timing her breath to the sliding metal handle. 2 short, 1 long. Even her lungs obeyed the store. Who schedules? He asked. The manager, she said. He good. She snorted once, a small animal noise. He's efficient. You ever talk to him? I try not to sneeze near him. What's his name? She wrung the mop. The water changed from this color to that color and never to clear. Brad. He knew the roster. He knew the file with its perfect numbers. He set that knowledge beside the woman on her knees and watched the mismatch try to reconcile. A teenager turned the end cap into a goal and kicked an invisible ball. The mother barked, apologized, steered. Maria smiled at the boy with an expression that had room in it. The boy waved, then knocked the caution sign over with his shoe. Maria righted it. The same way you forgive gravity. You ever take a break? He asked. I break when I'm fired, she said. It almost sounded like humor. He wanted to say, this isn't policy. He wanted to say, I wrote the policy. He said neither. The policy meant less here than a mop that didn't hold water. Mike, she said suddenly. Yeah, whatever you think this job is, it is heavier. She looked at him and saw something that made her add, softer. You look new. New bleeds. I'll learn. Learning is expensive. A voice cut the air from the far end of the aisle. Not the radio, not a customer. Santos. It landed like a staple. Maria's shoulders lifted, then settled. A soldier memorizing orders. She stood, wiped her palms on her shirt, and faced the voice. Brad Miller came around the corner with his lanyard like a medal, and his clipboard like a warrant. Gelled hair, scent of cologne that tried too hard to be cedar. He didn't look at Marcus. He looked at the mop like it was a confession. This floor is still wet, he said. It's drying, Maria said. The air is. Customers slip. Brad said. Company gets sued. You want to pay that bill? No. Then move. He glanced at Marcus. You are. Mike, Marcus said. He let the word be cheap. Day one. Mike, Brad asked. Yeah. Don't learn bad habits. Maria took the mop and bucket. Mouth. A straight line you could measure on a map. Brad watched her go 3 steps, then turned back to Marcus. Where'd you work last? He asked. Construction. Quit. Ended. He smirked. We end a lot of things here. He tapped the clipboard with his red pen. The pen left no mark. Marcus saw it anyway. Keep your head down. People who talk don't last. The drip resumed somewhere behind the wall. 2 short, 1 long. Brad left without waiting for agreement. Power's favorite gesture. Maria was already a third of the aisle away, working the tile like it could thank her. Marcus wanted to say anything that would matter. He said the only thing that might. I'm here tomorrow, he said. 6 a.m. She nodded once, not turning. Inventory. I'll be early. Early is invisible. He watched her until the aisle bent and hid her. The air smelled faintly of ammonia and something sweeter underneath, like a bakery 2 blocks over teaching the neighborhood what comfort could be. He looked up. The camera dome blinked. The store watched the store. He let the hum of the lights fill the spaces his words had failed. 2 short, 1 long. He memorized the rhythm and went to find a time clock that didn't know his name. By mid-morning, the store had found its rhythm. Carts rattling, barcode beeps, stitching aisles together. The HVAC singing a thin, metallic note above everything. Marcus kept his ball cap low and moved where new people move, just out of the way, just useful enough to ignore. He drifted toward the staff corridor, and the board no one photographed for fun. The schedule lived beneath a cracked acrylic cover, grease-fogged and scarred. Names had been written, crossed out, resurrected, in different ink. Arrows leapt like panicked fish between days. A ballpoint chain hung limp, its plastic bitten. Someone had wiped a column with too much cleaner. The paper had warped, time buckling along the crease. He found Santos. The way fingers find splinters. 22 hours this week. 35 next, 14 the week after, as if a life could be shaken like a jar and poured in unevenly. A notation in red bled through. Inventory, 06. Ling ling. He tasted the word like metal. Don't stand too close. A voice said, it thinks you'll fix it. Marcus turned. The woman wore a faded blue vest and a brace on her right wrist. Early 50s. Eyes the color of a winter morning that hasn't decided what it is yet. She tucked a loose strand of gray behind one ear, not embarrassed so much as accustomed. Elena, she said, Formerly front-end lead, currently whatever the schedule wants. Mike, he said. She looked him over, cataloging without judgment. Construction, until the concrete stopped paying. Welcome to indoor weather. She hit the schedule cover with 2 knuckles. The acrylic thunk. It used to show pattern. Now it shows mood swings. Marcus pointed at a name with 3 arrows through it. That legal lives far away, Elena said. We live here. She lifted the cover, checked the clip at the top. It was loose. Careful, it bites. Down the hall. A radio chirped twice, then dragged 2 short. 1 long. Elena's mouth twitched. Hear that? That's our lullaby. Inventory tomorrow, Marcus asked. Always. Never. Depends which lie you like. She lowered her voice. They post at 9 p.m. and change at 5. You wake up with no job for 10 minutes. Then you're hired again for less. Who posts? Elena's eyes cut toward the front office window where blinds slanted hard light into dust. Brad, she said. The name landed like a bruise. He says corporate wants flexibility. Flexibility means your rent flexes too. A pair of associates rolled a pallet jack through. The wheels shuddered at a seam in the tile. A strip of fluorescent flickered, then caught. You could feel the ceiling recalibrating itself. Elena's radio buzzed. Breakroom cameras down again. Someone reported. Sour with the news. Which one? Elena asked. Locker hall. Copy. The cameras go down a lot, Marcus asked. Only when they should be up. She started walking. He followed. The corridor grew narrower, more honest. Pipes sweated in the ceiling. The smell changed from lemon to plastic, warmed by old electricity. Lockers lined a short hall like metal teeth. Above, a black plastic dome looked at nothing. The tiny LED that should have blinked its authority instead held a dull, unbothered dark. Supposed to blink, Elena said. Blink means watch. Dark means shrug. Who fixes it? It tickets vanish. Miracles happen. Then it blinks on payday. She opened a locker, hers, revealing a coffee can with a slit in the lid, a folded sweatshirt, a Polaroid of a boy in a graduation gown. All the small dens a person builds against weather. She slid out a paper envelope, thick with receipts. What's that? Marcus asked. A hobby. She smiled without humor. Documentation. Every time a camera sleeps, every time a schedule erases, every time a break evaporates. She thumbed through slips, stamped in purple. Time, adjustment request, denied. Maintenance log closed. Incident, no video available. On the back of each, her precise handwriting with dates and times, a key at life's footnotes. You keep copies? He asked. Elena keeps everything. She tilted her head. You look like the kind who understands why. Her eyes flicked to his hands. He realized he still carried the habits of a different office. The way his thumb rested near where a pen would live. The way he squared paper that wasn't there. Try not to fix it all at once, she said softly. The board hates heroes. He wanted to promise restraint. The words wouldn't fit his mouth. Footsteps clicked. Then softer. Then stopped. Maria stood in the hall's tea. Mop handle a staff she didn't want. She had washed her face. The skin around her eyes had learned to lie quickly. She looked from Elena to Marcus, reading the geometry, assessing angles. Locker cameras out again. Elena said, someone upstairs wants us to clap. Maria's gaze landed on Marcus. The corridor made surveillance out of simple standing. She tucked a strand of hair back and surprised him. Who sent you? She asked. Elena went still, something animal and protective in the pause. Sent, Marcus said. You ask the wrong questions. Maria said, hotline does that. Or managers trying to catch a union before it breathes. I'm new, he said. New makes mistakes. New makes reports. Maria said. Brad enjoys reports. Elena stepped between them just enough to demonstrate affection disguised as scolding. He's green. Not poison. Maria held his eyes. Green turns quick here. A laugh came from the office, male and careless. Papers shuffled. A pen tapped. The sound traveled like a smell. Maria's jaw tightened. I have to sanitize the carts, she said. They come back dirty. People put their sadness in them. She pushed past, shoulder brushing Elena's. The contact contained 1,000 summers. Elena watched her leave, then stared at Marcus like a test question. If you're a spy, she said, mild, you're bad at it. I'm not. Good. We've had enough bad. She slid the envelope back into the locker and shut it. The lock stuck. She bumped it with her hip. 3 turns right. 2 left. 1 right. 211. Everything here is a code. They reached the break room. Microwave doors thumped in a rhythm, unrelated to hunger. A fridge hummed with the authority of coal. A poster on the wall read, Integrity Hotline. With a phone number large enough to pretend it cared, someone had added, in ballpoint, does it speak Spanish? And someone else had underlined, integrity. Until the paper tore, Elena poured coffee into a paper cup, tasted, frowned, and poured it out. Battery acid, she said, keeps the hope polished. The TV mounted in the corner played a muted morning show. A chyron rolled by about a labor strike in a different city, different shirts. No one watched. They were working. Why'd they move you from front-end lead? Marcus asked. Accident, Elena said. She raised her braced wrist. He fell. They said I fell wrong. What's wrong? I typed a complaint, Elena said. Probably the keystrokes were impolite. He felt something slide into place. How systems call gravity a behavior. A shadow passed the doorway. Brad leaned in, didn't enter. He glanced at Elena, at Marcus, at the TV, and smirked like the idea of information amused him personally. Team, he said, remember to log meal breaks. Even if you didn't take them. That legal? Elena asked. Sweet as salt. Brad's smile didn't change. It's efficient. We all want the numbers to look nice. He looked at Marcus. How's day 1? Mike. Learning. Learn this. The hotline is for attitudes. If you have a bruise, put makeup on it. He was gone before anyone could decide what to risk. Elena poured coffee for the empty air. We used to say things out loud, she murmured. Now we laminate them. Marcus stared at the poster. The number was the same as on the company website, the same as on the employee handbook, the same as the one he'd insisted be printed in English and Spanish. Here, it felt like a door painted on a wall. He checked the clock over the sink. 10:46. He wrote the time in his mind and put it in a place that didn't forget. His fingers itched for a notebook. He forced them still. Help me with the cart, Elena said. Come learn something useless. They rolled an empty train through the vestibule. People flowed around them like river water around stones. Sunlit dust danced above the door sensors. Outside, the lot shimmered in late morning heat that the newspaper would call unseasonable, and employees would call again. At the cart corral, a man in a suit was arguing with a cashier about a return policy printed in 30-point font. Elena parked the train and moved to the far edge where carts returned bent. She lifted a child seat, scrubbed dried sugar with a rag that had learned surrender. The cart creaked a complaint. You ever think of leaving? Marcus asked. Elena laughed softly. Detroit isn't a place you leave. It's a place that leaves you slow. She worked a wheel until it rolled straight. Besides, my son's up the road with a paycheck that launders through diapers. Leaving is a verb for other season. Your wrist. Yesterday's box, she said. Tomorrow's storm. The radio on her hip popped again, 2 short, 1 long. Front office requests. Audit of break room camera. A voice said, Employee concern. Elena stood, eyes narrowing at the building like it had confessed nothing. Employee concern. She repeated, which employee? Concern about what? We never get the nouns. Can you see past logs? Marcus asked. On paper, she said. On a screen they belong to ghosts. Can I help? Elena looked at him, not suspicious now, but careful the way you are with glass on a counter. If you can read a clock and tell the truth, you're already rare. She started the cart train moving. It breathed a long, rubber sigh. Bring your eyes at 6 tomorrow. Inventory hates witnesses. They re-entered through the automatic doors, which hissed like they didn't like being automatic. The ceiling swallowed sunlight and gave back a flatter kind. A kid slapped a balloon and laughed. The sound traveled like mercy. Back in the corridor, Maria was pinning a notice to the corkboard. Her hands shook just enough to turn the task into a ceremony. The notice was a sign-up. Shift swaps, week 38. Names already filled lines in a script of desperation. She wrote hers in small letters. As if the handwriting could reduce need, Elena touched her elbow. Maria didn't startle this time. She nodded once, then looked at Marcus. You still here? She asked. I am. Tomorrow is worse. Then we'll be early, he said. She stared, measuring, then allowed the smallest concession. Early's not invisible if you bring eyes. Brad's laughter carried from the office again, clipped, then muffled by a door closing. Somewhere, a printer woke and exhaled heat. The locker camera remained a dark dot in a plastic dome, an eyelid that refused to lift. Marcus felt the store's song settle into him. Beep, hum, roll, drip. The thin rhythm that pretended to be plumbing kept time too short. One long. He filed it where he kept other truths with edges. He would need them all. He found a pen that wasn't his and wrote his alias on the shift swaps sheet beside a line that needed a body. The ink bled a little. Impatient. Elena read it and smiled a fraction. Welcome to the board, she said. Try not to let it eat you. The clock above customer service clicked from 5:59 to 6:00 with a sound too loud for plastic. Morning bled into shift change. Boxes breathed out of the stockroom and into aisles still adjusting their faces. Brad's office sat behind a pane of glass that pretended to be transparency. Blinds cut light into obedient stripes. A certificate about leadership curled at one corner in its frame. The door was open just enough to mean closed. Santos, Brad called, not loud. Sharp. Maria wiped her palms on her uniform and walked in. Marcus drifted to the end of the counter, near the community printer. Paper warmed his knuckles. Toner smelled like pennies. From here he could see the angle of Brad's desk and the pad of paper, placed like a cutting board. The radio on Maria's hip sputtered, then calmed. Two short, one long. She clicked the volume down and stood. Brad uncapped a pen. Read. He let it hover over a stack of timesheets. The pen's plastic body caught the fluorescent and threw it back like a smile that didn't reach eyes. You missed your break yesterday, he said. I didn't take one. Maria answered. You logged it, Brad said, tapping the sheet. I was asked to log it, she said. We're told to. He made a mark that didn't belong to arithmetic. We can't pay what you didn't take. Maria's jaw moved once. A contained earthquake. I stayed on the floor. Brad drew a line through a rectangle of hours with neat, single stroke, the way you might shave a haircut into compliance. The red spread cleanly. Attitude adjustment, he said. The air tasted like metal filing. Marcus shifted his weight and let the printer squeal another page so the noise could be covered. His thumb found the audio record icon on his phone. The way a hand finds a railing, he didn't raise it. He slid it against the printer's side. Screen down. Mike opened to the glass. Brad flipped to another sheet. Also, inventory. He said, "You moved too slow." "I moved as fast as the floor let me." Maria said, "It let others." Brad said. He made a note in red. "We reward efficiency." "How much?" Maria asked. He looked up, amused. "Pardon, how much are you saving docking me?" she said. "Is it worth what it costs?" The room with the glass found a new temperature. Brad's smile stayed where it was. The muscles around it cooled. "Company needs clean numbers," he said. "Clean numbers need clean behavior. Clean behavior is doing the job," she said. He crossed out another half-hour box. The pen's tip squeaked on the coated paper. It was the sound of erasing a thing by pretending to count it. "You know the policy," he said. "If you talk to others about scheduling, you become a problem. People ask." Maria said. "I answer." "Don't," Brad said. He closed the folder softly and picked up a laminated card with the hotline number and a slogan about dignity. He tapped it on the desk like a metronome. "Call this if you feel wronged," he said. "They like feelings." "Does it speak Spanish?" Maria asked. Brad's eyes flicked to the hallway where the break room poster lived. "Here," he said. "We speak productivity." Marcus watched Maria absorb that and put it somewhere that wouldn't break her right away. She nodded once to herself, not to him. Her left shoe squeaked when she shifted. The sole had started to delaminate. She didn't look down. "Anything else?" she asked. "Keep the restroom dry," Brad said, rotating the red pen between his fingers. It flashed like a siren with nowhere to go. "You have an 8 today." "I worked 10, she said. "You logged 8? He said. "Because I was told." "Good talk," Brad said, bright. "Next." She stepped out into the corridor with a face arranged for the public. The door clicked behind her, shutting softly enough to pass a lie detector. She didn't see Marcus at the printer. He didn't announce himself. She walked past with a mop handle like a staff again, and the radio low enough to be a heartbeat. Inside the glass, Brad started another sheet. Marcus breathed once through his teeth and collected the pages the printer had pretended he needed. He tapped his phone to stop the recording. The screen showed the red dot turn to a square and the square to a timestamp. Linglu, Limba, Sirar. He saved the file under something that meant nothing. He let the store take the pen's smell away from his tongue. The break room held 5 people and the weight of 10. Microwave doors thumped like pulse checks. A vending machine refused $1 politely. Someone had left a tangerine on the table with a bite gone, as if the rest of it had become too much. Elena poured 2 cups of coffee, tasted one, grimaced, and slid it to Marcus anyway. "Let the bitterness do the lifting," she said. Maria stood with both hands flat on the counter, not owning the space and not leaving it. Her badge winked at the fluorescent metal, stubborn about reflecting light. She was failing at stillness. "You good?" Elena asked. Soft. "Fine," Maria said. The word from earlier, now ironed. Tommy drifted in from electronics. Lanyard tangled. Smile automatic. 22. Maybe. Eyes too tired for that number. He saw Maria's face and stopped smiling like a decision. "He cut you again," he said. It wasn't a question. "He practiced," Maria said. Tommy looked at Marcus. Then, "Elena, he docked me 3 hours last week," he said. "Said I talked too long explaining a TV. Customer bought it." Elena asked. 2. Tommy said. "We don't pay for conversation." He slid into a chair and rubbed his thumb against the edge of the table until the skin whitened. He said I could make it back if I worked the overnight unload, but then he forgot to schedule me. Now I'm a magician. Hours disappear. "Stop logging breaks," Elena said. "Brad says we have to log them even if—" "Stop," Elena repeated. Tommy shrugged. "He'll write me up." He already wrote you down, Maria said. Silence rearranged the chairs. The TV in the corner was playing a muted segment on some city's parade. The anchor gestured at Joy. Captions tried to keep up and got most of the words wrong. Why don't we all call the hotline together? Tommy said finally, half mock, half dare. Elena's laugh was a paper cut. We tried once, she said. It logged a ticket called Spirit Concern. Sounds churchy. Tommy said. It sounds like someone doesn't like noun, Elena said. Maria turned her cup in small circles and stared into coffee, gone black from neglect. She spoke without looking up. I can't lose hours this month. Tommy nodded, then shook his head, then nodded again. I can cover a shift, then you'll lose yours, she said. He tried a joke and found none. He leaned back until the chair warned him and let it creak him forward to safety. Mike, Elena said, what do you see? He could say, a manager committing wage theft with a pen that knows no shame. He could say, a store that files fear under efficiency. He could say, a company whose posters make promises that air molecules won't keep patterns. He said instead, the pattern is red. Tommy said. He rubbed his thumb again. Red writes faster than black. The office door thunked down the hall. Brad's footsteps approached. The cadence of a man whose day is punctuation and whose sentences are other people's time. He stopped in the break room doorway. The air thinned the way hallways do when weather changes. Team, he said, cheerful and in charge. Good news. No one breathed wrong. We've got corporate eyes on us, he said. Numbers look clean. Keep them clean. He lifted the red pen slightly. A toast to data. Breaks must be logged. Inventory must be above 97% accuracy. We are a machine. People. No squeaks. He looked at Maria with cordial heat. Santos. Floors dry. It will be, she said. Make it was, he said, and smiled like that counted as motivation. He scanned the room, let his glance catch on Marcus. Mike, useful morning. Learning. Marcus said, learn fast. Brad let his smile sharpen the last word into a supervisory blade. Then he turned to leave, paused, and added, also, watch your chatter. Some of you like to organize conversations. Conversations can look like trouble. He tapped the pen twice on the doorframe. Too short. On his way down the hall, his radio crackled one long. Marcus felt the store answer itself. Tommy exhaled when silence regained the room. You know what he calls us, he said, almost light. Line items. Elena folded a napkin to a point and used it to wipe a coffee ring into a neat ellipse. He's not creative. Maria straightened. The motion had dignity in it, and a cost. She tossed the coffee and rinsed the cup until the water ran too clear to be true. She set it on the rack carefully. Each dish deserved this kind of care. Even if the world didn't, I have carts, she said. Take the new gloves, Elena said. The large ones, Maria asked, and did not smile. They only order large, Elena said. We make them fit. Maria nodded and headed out. Not slow, not fast. Tommy watched her go, then looked at Marcus like a question seeking a messenger. You sticking around? He asked. I signed the sheet, Marcus said. Then you'll see tonight, Tommy said. The red pen gets hungry after dark. In the corridor, Marcus slowed until he could see through the slit of Brad's blinds again. The manager leaned over his desk with the posture of a man counting other people's lives. He uncapped the red pen and fed it another half hour. Marcus pulled his phone from his pocket and opened the file he'd saved. The waveform was a thin mountain range against a gray horizon. He hit play for half a second, just enough to hear Brad's voice return the room's oxygen to him as proof. He paused it and saved a copy to a different folder with a different meaningless name. Chain of custody is a simple prayer. Who, when, where, He whispered the 3 words in his head. Who? Brad Miller. Manager. When? Ling Luke. 05 to 06. Ling Joe. Shift change. Where? Office 2. Glass. Blinds. Half closed. He stored the prayer where it couldn't be confiscated by hope. The store called from everywhere at once. Beeps. Hums. Whispers between metal and hand. He walked toward the stockroom to learn a job he pretended to have. Past the schedule board with its teeth, and the locker camera with its closed eye. 2 short, 1 long. The rhythm followed him like a small, insistent truth. Benign. The store changed temperature. Day shift chatter thinned to the scrape of pallet jacks, and the shiver of shrink wrap pulled too tight. The intercom went keter, like a voice lowering itself out of habit. A wet cardboard smell drifted from the stockroom, mixed with tape glue and the sweet ghost of detergent. Marcus steered a flatbed toward receiving, where boxes waited like unsent letters. The motion helped him listen. Past the flaps of plastic strip curtains, a fluorescent bar stuttered and recovered too quick, one long and settled into a hum that had learned to ignore its own headache. Mike, a voice said from the caged corner. You, the new night mule. The man behind the chain link wore an IT badge with a frayed lanyard and a sweatshirt too warm for the room. Late 30s. Eyes with the skittish brightness of someone who sleeps near obligations. A roll-up door behind him framed the dark lot like a promise you probably shouldn't keep. Darren, he said, tapping his badge. Queen of dead cameras, prince of frozen paws, knight of the server closet. Mike, Marcus said, that cap says trouble. Darren said, half grin. Or baseball. Usually the same. A forklift reversed somewhere, beeping its own metronome. Brad's voice floated from the front like a radio station you couldn't chain. Marcus pushed the flatbed up to the cage. The locker camera's down. He said, Neutral. Was it ever up? Darren asked. He ticked at a tablet. The ticket says flapping. That's corporate for, we're not paying for a lift. He looked up. You need it. I like to know who's looking at me. Darren's eyes did their cautious sweep. He tapped keys. Frowned. Tapped again. It's not just down, he said. It's unplugged. At the ceiling, unplugged by who? Gremlins, he said, and let the joke die. I can route it to the back feed if I get 20 minutes without a fire, which means I'll never get 20 minutes. He scratched at the chain link with a zip tie. Why do you care, Mike? So I don't trip in the dark. He stared a beat longer, measuring whether to believe any part of that sentence. He decided to pocket it. Brad wants a nightly export at 21. Shwoo, Darren said, switching subjects like channels, scheduling and labor utilization. He likes to stroke the numbers before bed. Where does it print? Front office, Darren said, with a tilt of his head. Glass room, blinds, certificate, printer 2. The one that chews W2 seconds for fun? You see the files, Marcus asked. It sees everything until it gets blamed. Darren said, why? Curiosity. Marcus said, curiosity gets you a meeting. Darren said, a meeting gets you fewer hours. Fewer hours get you. He let the sentence complete itself. As all sentences here learn to do, Brad's footsteps approached on the polished concrete. Brisk, shoe leather rehearsed. Darren straightened like a string had been yanked. Darren, Brad said, appearing at the cage. Export on schedule. Darren said, good. Brad said. He turned to Marcus without warmth. You. Pallets from Bay 3 to seasonal. Alone. We're lean. Bay 3's stacked to the rafters. Darren said, too fast. Brad slid him a look that had fired small wars. You here to code or to comment? Code, Darren said. Folding in half. Brad walked, calling over his shoulder. Remember, people, if you have time to talk, You have time to clean. Marcus pushed the flatbed toward Bay 3. Cardboard towers waited, leaning into one another for faith. He wrapped deadweight with straps and hauled out first bundles. Back and thighs, negotiating the price. Sweat cut the cold from his shirt. The strap buckle bit his palm. He let it. When he rounded toward seasonal, he passed the office. Through the not-quite-closed blinds, he saw the top of Brad's monitor glow a sickly blue. His fingers twitched toward the door, then retracted. The camera above the office, blinking green. Alert watched the hallway like a cat who owned the counter. He timed a pass with a delivery of marketing clings. He let the clings slop against his shoulder like excuse. Through the narrow angle, he caught the scheduling tool open on Brad's screen. Rows of names, columns of squares. A cursor hopped with zeal. A name he didn't recognize winked from the grid. Miller. The hours slotted against that name were generous and recent, the same hours that had vanished from other names earlier in the week. He watched the cursor drag an 8 from Santos, M, into Miller, B, Jr., with a drop as clean as math. The system dinged, satisfied. The LED above the door blinked its little judgment. 2 short, 1 long. Marcus swallowed air like it had rules. He drifted on with his load until he reached the next aisle, then parked the flatbed and ducked behind an end cap of plastic storage bins. He opened his phone, but the risk of that green eye in the ceiling cut across his hand. He closed it and felt the anger choose a more procedural shape. Time, location, action. He checked his watch. Arshii, Shutsi, Sisharar. He whispered it once. He looked at the exit sign bleeding red across the floor and fixed the angle in his mind like a compass point. He listened for the paper wasp whir of printer 2. It came hesitating, then coughing out pages like confessions. He rounded back with a palate, slower, breathing like a man who lifted for a living. When he passed the office again, a stack of fresh papers sat on the inside desk. Clipped. Check out Iceland. Brad ran a finger down the top page and smiled at something only he found charming. Marcus hauled until his arms named every box personally. The floor swallowed hours and gave back muscle. He lost track of everything that wasn't weight until Darren reappeared at his elbow with the skittishness of a man committing a small crime. "You smoke?" Darren asked, already holding the door to the loading dock. Cold air slipped in with a 2-note gasp and a longer exhale. "I don't," Marcus said. "Good," Darren said. "You'll live longer. Come anyway." They stepped onto the dock. The night lot was a wet black mirror. Sodium lights buzzed like distant bees, painting everything a tired orange. A semi idled near the far fence with patient resentment. Darren lit one and didn't smoke it so much as argue with it. He cupped the fire from the wind and used the gesture as camouflage for the other hand, which slid a folded sheet to Marcus. "Dropped from the wrong tray," he said without looking. "Weird how gravity worked." Marcus unfolded it. Labor Utilization Week, 38. Columns of names, rows of hours, a total at the right that told a lie well. Miller sat in the middle like a cousin at Thanksgiving. Id. 3-1-4-5-6-5. Ors assigned. Arshasan. Woosher. Notes column, empty. New hire, Marcus asked. Darren exhaled sideways. Never clocked in, never clocked out. Always gets paid. Who approves? The system, Darren said. Which is to say, whoever is allowed to be the system today. "Why help me?" Marcus asked. "Quiet. Because I'm tired of hearing that printer lie," Darren said. He looked smaller when he said it. "And because he has a picture I'd rather he didn't." "What picture?" "Me in a place I promised I left," he said, then shut the door on that subject with a shrug. "Point is, I owe him. Owing gets boring. Footsteps clanged on the metal stairs behind them. Darren flinched hard enough to drop Ash. Maria's voice cut the cold. Cart returns clear, she said, seeing Darren's hands, then Marcus, then the paper. The math happened in her face fast. I don't want to know, she said reflexively. You already do, Darren said. She stared at the night until it admitted it had nothing to offer. He's been taking hours from Jenna, too, she said. She's 20, pays her grandma's insulin. He calls it right-sizing. Marcus folded the sheet with a care it hadn't earned. Who's B? Mila Junia, he asked. Ghost, Darren said, or nephew, or future lawsuit. Pick your horror. Maria's radio hissed. Two short, one long. Santos, office, Brad's voice ordered. Now, she closed her eyes, opened them, gave the night a nod like a promise you make to yourself, and left the dock without drama. Darren dabbed Ash off the rail. He likes to do the slicing right before midnight, he said. Ugly calories. No weight gain. You can route the camera? Marcus asked. Tomorrow, Darren said. If it doesn't mysteriously fix itself before then, that happens. Ranch dressing on a lens makes it useless. He stubbed the cigarette on the sole of his shoe. You didn't get that from me. I didn't, Marcus said. They went back in. The heater coughed. Somewhere, a stack collapsed and corrected itself. Printer due gave a faint death rattle. Back at the office, through the slit, Marcus saw Maria standing while Brad sat. The posture game hadn't changed. He couldn't hear the words, only the shapes they made in the air. Brad's hand moved. The red pen did what it was born to do. Marcus felt his fingers reach for his phone again, then stop. The camera above the hall blinked once, twice awake and interested. He filed the blink under risk and moved past with a box of fake pumpkins that felt heavier than their hollow. When the hallway emptied, he let his body lean into a shadow beside the intercom panel. He unfolded the paper Darren had given him and looked at the timestamp at the top right. Archie, Chaluk, Lingsan. In the bottom margin, tiny letters read PRNTR 2, OFC01, user, Miller. He took the image into his head. Typeface, smudge, the way the 6 looked like it wished it were an 8. He mouthed the string once, as if saying it could make it true twice. Time, location, action. He wrote nothing down. He put the folded sheet back in his pocket like a postcard from a place you'll have to prove you visited. By 23, Sisher, the store was a mechanical lullaby. Freight had thinned to reasonable gravity. Marcus stacked flattened cartons at the baler and watched the compactor swallow the day in square feet. The red emergency stop button winked at no one. Darren passed once more, hunched and fast, a man late to his own rescue. If you see a new job posting tomorrow, don't believe it, he said to the air. It's for a ghost. Ghosts always get the first pick. Why not leave? Marcus asked. Because my debt didn't, Darren said, and vanished into cables. Near midnight, Maria emerged from the office with a face that wasn't broken, but had learned another fracture line. She tightened the strap on her radio and made no sound with her shoes. She saw Marcus, and the part of her that had stayed suspicious went still. The other parts had run out of gas. You keep a notebook, she asked, surprising him. In my head, it leaks, she said. He touched the folded report in his pocket. This one won't. She nodded toward the dark ceiling and its blinking eyes. The cameras remember what the store needs, not what we do. And what do you need? He asked. Tomorrow, she said, and less of it. She went toward seasonal with a mop and a task that promised nothing but minutes. He watched her go until the aisle made her a rumor. He found a corner behind receiving, where the forklift charger clicked itself into sleep, and the air tasted faintly of copper. He took out his phone and opened a blank note, then closed it. He slid it back, took a breath, and let the words occur without electronics. Silence is safer, he thought, each word a step. Silence is deadlier. The clock over the time clock stuttered once and resumed. Somewhere in the building, a faulty ballast tapped out a familiar measure, 2 short, 1 long. He closed his eyes and saw the grid of names and the ghost among them. He saw a red pen eating. He went back to work, carrying the weight that didn't show up on schedules. The store at 5:30 lived between worlds. Lights awake, people not. Refrigeration hummed its cold prayer. The intercom exhaled static as if trying on a voice. A mop leaned by the janitor's closet like a crutch that forgave. Marcus stood in the administrative hallway where the tile changed shade. 3 doors before the glass office. The air tasted like old coffee and toner. In the quiet, a thin ringtone threaded the walls from inside Brad's office. 2 short, 1 long. He pressed his back to the supply closet frame. His breath fogged the metal a little. He watched the frosted stripe of Brad's door glow faintly. The sound came again, precise, rehearsed. 2 short, 1 long. He pulled out his phone and thumbed the recorder open without looking. The red dot waited, small and decisive. He set the device on the shelf behind him among boxes of paper clips and a spool of blue tape. The mic faced the hallway. On screen, the waveform lay flat and hopeful. Brad answered on the 3rd beat. "Miller," he said. The voice sounded pleased to be itself. A second voice came filtered and calm. "Older. Status. Brad. Clean," Brad said. "I'm shaving hours before payroll. Numbers look beautiful." The recorder drew its first line, a trembling line that steadied. "You're shifting staff," the older voice asked. "Down to 12 for Santos," Brad said. 15 for Chen. The pregnant one gets inventory. She'll quit. Anyone calling HR. "They call me," Brad said. "Cheerful." It ends there. Marcus checked the hallway again. Empty. He traced his eyes from the exit sign to the camera dome above the office. The green LED blinked steady. He counted seconds and kept the body still. "Liability," the voice asked. "0 on paper," Brad said. "I've got their performance notes." "Attitude." "Reliability." "You know, documentation matters." "I have it," Brad said. Paper slid somewhere. The sound of confidence. "If they complain, I cut shifts. They learn quiet." "Good," the voice said. "Labor targets. Under benchmark by 8%, Brad said. "Corporate loves a diet." "What about benefits eligibility?" "I toggled Santos to temporary," Brad said. "Payroll won't trip the 90-day rule." "That sticks." "The system believes me," Brad said, and laughed. "It's the only person who does." Marcus glanced at his screen. Reg 00. Ling E. Sancha T. He whispered the time once to store it in bone. The hallway's fluorescent clicked and held. "Who gets the hours?" the voice asked. "B. Mila Junior," Brad said. "Processing fine. Funds land clean. Your nephew." "My account," Brad said. "Casual as weather. Different nephew every quarter on paper." The voice chuckled, then lowered itself. "Say it plainly." "Brad, I'm billing their cuts to a ghost, and keeping the ghost," Brad said. The recorder's line shook a little, then composed itself. "And Santos," the voice asked. "You singled her out." "She's grateful," Brad said. "Single mother. Assurance bec. Won't risk noise." The ringtone chimed from inside the office. 2 quick chirps. 1 longer release. A calendar reminder. Maybe. Or the world knocking in code. "What about the new guy?" the voice asked. "Mike." "His quiet muscle," Brad said. "I'll test him on the unload. If he talks, he's gone." Keep clean, the voice said. We can't carry you if you get messy. I teach the mess to behave, Brad said, smug. A pen clicked. Tell Kincaid the numbers are saints. Silence hugged the doorway, full of breath. Then the voice returned. Drier. Kincaid heard you. A soft beep. The call died. Marcus moved only his eyes. Down to the timer. Ling San. Shirar. He closed the recording. He saved a copy to a hidden folder. Another copy to a hidden app. His thumb stayed steady by force. Chain of custody whispered itself through him. Who? When? Where? Who? Brad. Plus an older voice that knew Kincaid. When? Ling Wu. 30-05. Sanchez seat. Pre-open. Where? Office corridor. Supply closet shelf. Mike facing east. He slid the phone into his back pocket and exhaled carefully. The air smelled of warmed dust. He wiped his palms on denim to erase the moisture fear leaves. From the floor, a manager's voice on intercom. All hand. Final suite. Doors in 10. He stepped out. The office door opened. Brad emerged with that pleased posture heavy men learn when numbers say they're light. He straightened his tie that wasn't necessary at this hour. His gaze skimmed Marcus and priced him. You again, Brad said. Henderson. Morning. Marcus said. Inventory. Brad said. 9 aisles by 7. Don't be sentimental. Understood? Brad walked the hall. His phone throbbed a text. The lock screen flashed. Kincaid, as if the building itself were naming predators. Brad tucked the phone away. Make sure Santos shows at 2, he added, voice casual enough to cut. If she's late, she's light. Marcus let him pass. He felt the urge to push the office door, to photograph the monitor, to chew wires. He did none of it. The tape in his pocket was louder than rage. He found Maria at the utility sink, refilling a bottle of diluted cleaner labeled lemon. In marker, the liquid smelled like exhausted citrus. Her left shoe was taped now. A strip of black kept the sole from singing. You okay? He asked. I need to be, she said. You eat? Peanut butter. She capped the bottle. Half a slice. He wanted to hand her something other than question. He had nothing but an ugly truth she already knew. You know you can say no, he said. Idiot sentence. To hunger, she asked, and let it be a joke to save him. The radio on her hip snapped to life. Santos. Office. Brad's voice said, bring your badge. Her shoulders dropped a fraction, then rose to readiness. She tilted her head, almost a nod to no one, and went. Marcus trailed after at a distance, not enough to matter, enough to be present if the sky fell. Through the glass, Maria stood. Brad sat. The red pen waited. Brad slid a paper across the desk. Voluntary separation, he said. You get a gift card. We call it mutual. Maria glanced once at the door. The camera above the office watched its green. Why? You're a poor fit, he said. And you cause talk. I mop, she said. You provoke, he said. You discuss schedules. I answer questions, she said. We share rides. Semantics, he said. Sign or don't. If you don't, next week is 8 hours. My daughter's surgery is next month, she said. The insurance, not my line, he said, tapping the pen. You want charity, right, Santa? She looked at the page. Marcus felt the glass pretend it wasn't there. Her hand hovered with its cracked knuckles, then fell to her side. No, she said. Brad's eyebrows rose. Careful. No, she repeated. Fire aloud. Then, he smiled thinly. You'll be sorry. I already am, she said. He slid the paper back into a folder. With theatrical neatness, he made a mark on a different sheet. Red flourished in small obedient arcs. 2 p.m. Inventory, he said. Don't overhydrate. Bathrooms slow you. She left without looking at Marcus. The lens in the ceiling reflected a dot of light in her eye like a false tear. In the corridor, she made it 3 steps, then stopped. She braced a hand against the wall. The plaster was cool and indifferent. Marcus moved to her side. The camera over the hall pivoted a breath. "You okay?" he asked. "Fine," she said. "It's only air." "Sit," he said. "Standing is safer," she said. "Sitting looks like resting." He stood with her, not touching, watching the wall. "I asked you to quit. He gave me a store gift card," she said. The laugh came out like broken plastic. "My daughter needs ounces of metal, not coupons. You said no, until I need to say yes," she said. "Some days have smaller words." He looked up at the camera. The LED blinked green. Very interested, he took a half step back, so he would be a shape, not a savior. "2 o'clock," he said. "I'll be early," she said. "Early is visible today," he said. Her mouth tugged. "Then I'll walk like furniture." She pushed away and moved down the hall in a measured truce with gravity. Elena appeared at the far end with a crate of mislabeled gloves and a frown that tried to be a smile. The hallway absorbed everyone like a long Patientlung. Marcus returned to the supply closet. He took the phone from the shelf, pressed lock, and listened to his heartbeat fill the small room for 2 breaths. He checked the file. The waveform glowed. He tapped. Details. The metadata held Ling Wu, Sancher, 12:05, Sanchersu, Ling San. Location. Na. Size. Lick. 3 megabytes. He added a note in an app no one else used. Confession call. Mentions Kincaid. Ghost hours. Benefits toggle. He copied the file into a hidden album and renamed it again. A bland phrase an overworked manager would never open. Safety training draft. He slid the phone into his back pocket and felt the heat of it like a coal. He breathed once, twice. The fluorescent above him clicked twice, then held, then let itself hum. 2 short, 1 long. At 06, Ling R. Doors unlocked, and customers arrived. Strollers squeaked. People put their tired into carts. A song played over the speakers. Bright and lying, Marcus stalked seasonal end caps, like a man whose body could be borrowed for anything. Elena passed by with a clipboard and a wrist brace darkened by sweat. "You look like you found a wall," she said under her breath. "I found a door painted on one," he said. "Don't walk through it alone," she said. He looked at her, meaning to ask about Kincaid. She shook her head once, minuscule, then pointed with her chin toward the office. Brad was on the phone again, back turned, posture smug. The LED above his head blinked its pulse in steady increments. The hallway smelled briefly of rain that hadn't fallen yet. A boy toppled the "Caution Wet Floor" sign and laughed. Maria set it upright with the patience of a saint drafted against her will. Tommy popped out from electronics, saw Maria, then Marcus, and made a choice to deliver a joke. "Corporate asked for miracles," he said. "We gave them mops." Maria managed half a smile. "It cost her. Mops are honest," she said. "Honesty messes up metrics," Tommy said. He left the laugh for whoever needed it and vanished into TVs. Marcus stood in the aisle with an armful of plastic pumpkins and knew he had crossed a small border. Not a country, not yet. A fence line. On one side, a story where the worst thing was a bad meeting. On the other, the company he built speaking a dialect he never taught it. He turned the pumpkins into a pyramid. None of this deserved and checked the clock. Ling Luke. Shizhou. He rehearsed the chain again. Then he rehearsed his face. Then he rehearsed the lie he would need hours later, that he was only Mike, and this was only work, and a ringtone was only a sound. 2 short, 1 long. He listened until it lived in bone. At 1:58, the intercom coughed and found its pitch. Brad's voice filled the store with the cheerfulness of a brick. Team huddle. Front of house. Associates emerged from aisles like weather. Elena with her brace and clipboard. Tommy with a tangled lanyard. Jenna hugging a barcode scanner like a talisman. Maria came last, pinching the mop's handle between forefinger and thumb so it wouldn't show how much it mattered. Customers drifted away from the semicircle, sensing ceremony. The TV wall dimmed to its menu sky. The HVAC clicked twice, then exhaled two short, one long, settling the room into attention. Brad stood at customer service with a clipboard and a red pen, as if announcing a raffle. Behind him, the glass office reflected everyone back in cheaper colors. Security hovered near the doors, bored into alertness. The schedule board watched with its torn acrylic grin. Inventory standards. Folks, Brad began, voice pitched to shave. Corporate is breathing down. We like clean numbers. He paced the tile like a salesman in a war movie. From now on, miscounts are payroll deductions, damaged goods, deductions, lost units. He aimed the pen at the floor. You'll feel it. A murmur moved through the group, the way small animals move in tall grass. Elena raised a hand like she'd been in schools that listened. That legal? She asked. Sweet. Brad's smile sharpened. It's policy. Policy isn't law, Elena said. Thanks for the civics. Brad replied, we're a business. He ticked names with the pen. Some of you struggle with cooperation. The pen almost touched Maria's shoulder. Some are distracted by personal matters. This isn't a charity. Maria held her breath like it owed rent. Brad flipped a laminated page with flourish. One more item. Talking about schedules. Organizing complaints. That behavior ends. Today, the group went still. Marcus stood at the back of the semicircle, cap low, hands empty. The phone in his pocket might as well have been a drum. Brad smiled the way a trap smiles. Santos, he said, step forward. She did, moving like furniture moves, with dignity borrowed from burden. You're not a fit, Brad said, brisk. Sign a separation form, or accept 12 hours next week. Silence hexed the floor. The neon from the return scanner printed soft red on a sneaker. A child asked a mother, what's happening? And the mother said, nothing. In the voice that means everything. Maria's chin lifted a fraction. I won't sign. You will, Brad said. He won't, she said, and the vowels steadied her. Brad's gaze did a small, victorious dance. Okay, he said lightly. Then we'll discuss insubordination. We'll also discuss your habit of enough, Marcus said, not loud. The word landed anyway. Heads turned. Brad blinked at the interruption like a man distracted by a fly. Mike, he said, amused. You found your voice. It was under your pen. Marcus said. He walked forward through the semicircle. Voices tried to stop him. None had authority. He reached the counter and set his phone on it. Screen down. The store noise dialed itself lower. You recording me? Brad said, grin cutting. That's illegal. Not here. Marcus said, one-party consent. He tapped the phone. The speaker gave the hallway back to the store. Miller. Brad's voice said from 5:30 a.m. Confident and pleased. The group made a sound like breathing too fast. Elena's eyes widened, then narrowed. Tommy went very still, as if hunted. Maria didn't move at all. Status. Brad, the older voice asked. Calm. Remote. The kind of tone that never had to bargain. Clean. Brad said. I'm shaving hours. Numbers look beautiful. Someone near the detergent end cap cursed in a whisper. Jenna put a hand over her mouth. Brad's face opened and emptied. He reached for the phone. Marcus slid it back an inch with 2 fingers. You're shifting staff. Down to 12 for Santos, 15 for Chen. Brad looked for humor and found none. This is a violation, he said, trying law again. It's yours. Marcus said. Anyone calling HR. They call me. It ends there. A manager on the perimeter made a small, involuntary sound. Brad's red pen stopped being a prop and started being just a pen. Labor targets. Under benchmark by 8%. What about benefits eligibility? I toggled Santos to temporary. Recorded, Brad said. The semicircle rippled. Maria's jaw shook once, then held. Elena took a step forward and stopped when the security guard shifted his stance. Who gets the hours? Mila Junia. Funds land clean. What's B stand for? A cashier asked the heir, and the heir did not answer. Say it plainly, the voice on the phone said. I'm billing their cuts to a ghost, and keeping the ghost, Brad said. Silence yawned. Then someone laughed once in disbelief and clapped a hand over her mouth like a crime. Brad moved as if to lunge for the phone. Instinct and vanity arguing. Marcus let his left hand find Brad's wrist midair and set it gently back on the clipboard. We done? Brad asked, voice too high, face too red. Show's over. Everyone back to. Not yet, Marcus said. He reached into his pocket and took out a small leather case. He flipped it open the way you open a door you own. The gold crest caught the fluorescent, a coin of sunlight in winter light. Thompson Enterprises, CEO. Sound fell off a ledge. If the building had a heartbeat, it missed. Elena exhaled something like a prayer and a curse on the same breath. Tommy said, no, softly, as if the concept had offended physics. Maria's eyes did nothing and then everything at once. Brad stared as if reading a word he refused to learn. Cute, he said. He tried to laugh. It got lost halfway out. Fake badge. You think Kincaid heard you? The recording whispered again, as if sent by timing. The name moved through the group like a cold current. Marcus pocketed the case. He raised his chin enough to claim the air. My name is Marcus Thompson, he said, voice not loud, not soft. I built the system you're gaming. My failure is here. It didn't feel noble. It felt true. Brad searched for land and found only water. This is entrapment, he said. You can't. What I can do, Marcus said, is stop you talking. Security. Two men in navy jackets stepped from the vestibule, not hurried. They moved like furniture does when the room decides it wants to change. One took Brad's elbow politely. The other stood where the crowd's fear might think about becoming optimism. You're terminated effective now, Marcus said. You are also under investigation. For what? Brad barked. Because pride has scripts. Wage theft, Marcus said. Benefits fraud. Conspiracy. Conspiracy requires two. Brad snapped. Good luck proving. The call named Kincaid. Marcus said. We'll handle the second part. Brad stopped. Pride tried to reroute. It failed. He looked around for allies and found inventory. This is a mistake, he said. Weaker. You don't know who you're. I do, Marcus said. I wrote your job description. Security guided Brad toward the doors. He yanked once, tested the grip, decided pain wasn't his color, and walked. The red pen fell, hit teal point first, and left a punctuation mark. No one would mop for a minute. The semicircle broke and reformed around absence. The glass office gleamed with the ugliness of unlived-in spaces. The store breathed as a single body that had held itself too long. Marcus faced the employees. They weren't an audience. They were a jury and a mirror. I owe you an apology, he said. You were right. The system we built taught him how. No one moved. Then Elena did. She stepped forward until she was near enough to be heard without a microphone. What happens now? She asked. Careful. To us, we repair. Marcus said. Audits. Back pay. Benefits corrected today. You'll say it, Elena said. But will you do it? Yes, Marcus said. He held the word in his mouth like an oath and not a press release. Starting now. Starting with whom? Tommy asked. His voice wobbled and then didn't. Maria, Marcus said. He turned to her. The mop waited at her feet like a loyal dog. Come with me. Why? She asked. A wall that had earned the right to exist. To fix what we broke, he said. And because I want you to lead. A whisper ran through the group like wind across tall grass. Token, it would say later, and optics, and all the sly ways of doubting women who survive. Marcus felt the doubt coming and didn't flinch. Interim manager, he said. Effective now, with training, with authority. Maria looked not at him but at the people she worked beside. Elena's mouth tightened, then eased. She nodded once. Small and real. Tommy lifted his chin like a kid on a diving board and said, I'll work for you. Maria breathed. It looked like a victory and a cost. I don't have a suit, she said. You have a spine. Marcus said. She smiled without showing teeth. That counts. Today it does, he said. A text lit Brad's abandoned phone on the counter. Kincaid, the lock screen shouted. The device buzzed its rhythm for no one too short. One long and went dark. Security reached the doors with their passenger. Customer parted. The auto sensor didn't open fast enough for his dignity. The glass kissed his shoulder. He cursed at a summer child staring openly. The child's mother pulled him close. Apology wrapped in habit. Marcus picked up the red pen. He held it up where everyone could see, and then set it on the counter like a relic surrendered. Break room, he said to the group. 10 minutes. Bring your questions. Bring names. Bring receipts. Elena lifted the edge of her thick envelope like a magician about to produce a dove. We have those, she said. So do I, Marcus said. He looked once more at Maria. The mop reflected her in the wet tile in a thin, loyal way. She nodded. Almost nothing. Almost everything. The intercom clicked, searching for a song to sell something. It found a jingle that sounded like a smile with dental work. The store's fluorescent stuttered once, twice, then held its hum steady. Too short. One long. The rhythm of a warning changing its mind about being a prayer. The break room became an emergency room for numbers. Rebecca Chen arrived first, black suit, sleeves rolled, hair in a no-nonsense knot flanked by 3 HR specialists wheeling Pelican cases. She didn't ask where to plug in. She told the room to make space. Folding tables unfolded like crisp decisions. Power strips bloomed along the baseboards. A laser printer coughed to life and warmed the air with ozone. 2 lines, she said, voice even. Verification and restitution. Elena slid a battered envelope onto the nearest table. We brought evidence, she said. We'll match it. Rebecca answered. She opened a case and lifted a tamper-sealed pouch, clear plastic with a red zip. Evidence. Payroll adjustments. Read the label. Block letters. Timestamp pre-printed. A small, square scale sat beside it. We'll do this right, Rebecca said. Chain of custody on everything. Marcus stood at the doorway and watched the room become a promise. Fluorescents hummed in their key. The vending machine blinked prices like hollow comfort. Through the thin wall he could hear the sales floor breathing. An organism learning what relief felt like. Maria drifted near the back, mop forgotten, hands empty like she didn't trust them. Tommy hovered, trying to look taller than fear. Darren lurked near the coffee pot, shoulders up, hoodie zipped, eyes on exits that didn't exist. Rebecca glanced once at Marcus. You've put me in stranger rooms, she said. Fix it, he said. I will, she said. And then to the room. We start with ID. Jenna stepped up first, palms sweating around her badge. The specialist scanned it. A green check chirped from the little reader. Name, the specialist asked. Jenna Ruiz. Do you authorize release of your time data? Jenna swallowed. Yes. The specialist slid a printed ledger across. Blocks of hours, columns of notes, red notations like small injuries. Docked for excessive bathroom. The specialist read, frowning. I had a bladder infection, Jenna said softly. We don't bill for biology. Rebecca answered, restitution, estimati, Sanbaisha Armayuan, Sherba. A second specialist weighed Elena's envelope on the square scale, read the grams aloud, wrote the number on the chain of custody tag, and clicked the red zip closed. The sound was small and satisfying, like a seatbelt deciding to care. Initial here, she said to Elena. Elena initialed with a flourish that had survived worse. Benefits audit runs in parallel. Rebecca called. If you were toggled to temporary, we toggle you back. Retroactive. Maria stepped forward like the ground might open. The specialist scanned Santos. M. The screen populated, then stalled. 3 years. The specialist said. 34 months over 30 hours. Toggle shows temp. Another said. Peering in. Changed at 02:42 this morning. Rebecca's eyebrow lifted a millimeter. Who has credentials for that? User, B. Miller01. The specialist read, location, off C01. Marcus heard Brad's ghost laugh in the HVAC. Restitution projection, the specialist continued. Typing, clicking, frowning. $14,847.19. Pending final. Maria didn't react for a long second. Then her mouth parted on air that had waited too long. Her hands shook once and steadied like someone putting down a heavy box. My daughter's pre-authorization, she asked, voice narrow with hope. Today, Rebecca said, we call the provider together. On speaker, Darren rubbed his jaw like a man sanding a truth. He edged closer to Marcus without looking at him. I got a call, he said, voice as low as a rumor. From corporate. Kincaid, Marcus asked. IT director. Darren said, wants me to archive transient logs. Translation. Delete what hurts. When? Now. He said, he's watching my session. He sent a script. You run it? Marcus asked. I typed it, Darren said. His mouth tightened. Then I didn't press enter. Why help us? Marcus said, because he has a photo. Darren said, the words cost him. I told you. I messed up once. This job keeps the past fed. Marcus watched a line of employees curl around tables, faces taut with calculation. Bodies trying not to hope too hard. He felt the ground tilt. Doing right here meant dragging a different wrong into light. What's the script name? Marcus asked. Purge? Temp? Rolling? Bet. Darren said. It will wipe camera overlays. Access events. Schedule deltas. Marcus exhaled. Show Rebecca. Darren nodded, shoved his hoodie pocket deeper with one hand, and crossed to HR like a man meeting a debt collector. He placed his tablet on the table, fingers hovering. Rebecca came around, scanned the code, and made a face like she'd tasted copper. Dime stampit, she said. Screenshot. Print. Bag it. The printer spit 2 pages. The assistant slid them into a pouch. Zipped. Read the grams. Tag the time. Marcus watched calm competence become a weapon. Tommy stepped up to verification, hands jammed in his vest. The ledger for Chen T. Populated. Docked for coaching on Chatter. 3 hours. The specialist said, I sold 2 TVs. Tommy said, next week's schedule. The specialist asked. He looked at the board and laughed once. I'll find out at 9 tonight. Rebecca signaled to Marcus without looking. He moved to the board. He lifted the cracked acrylic cover and unsnapped the binder clip, holding the week's page. The paper stuck and came free with a reluctant sigh. We'll build a clean one, he said. 2 weeks visible. No midnight edits. Swap policy in writing. Elena folded her arms, wrist brace creaking. We've heard that sentence, she said. You'll write this one with me. Marcus said. A woman in cosmetics with soft eyes stepped up. I'm Priya, she said. I'm late on rent. If you don't fix this now, I move. Rebecca didn't blink. We cut checks same day for clear cases, she said. Cashier's checks. No promises on print. Priya laughed and cried at once. I can handle gray, she said. The room learned a new rhythm. Scan. Chirp. Print. Bag. Initial. The printer clicked at regular intervals, 2 pages quick, then a longer run, until the motif became a metronome you could walk to. In the doorway, a man in a suit appeared. Corporate badge displayed too perfectly. Late 40s. Tan that came from airports. Kincaid. He took in the tables, the bags, the tags, the faces, and smiled a manager's smile, the kind built for deflection. Quite a production, he said. Rebecca didn't offer her hand. We're busy, she said. Kincaid Emilacham. We'll take it from here. No, Marcus said. Kincaid turned and saw what he hadn't expected to see. Surprise twitched under the tan. Marcus, he said. You look different. Good, Marcus said. Kincaid glanced at the sealed pouches. We can handle this centrally. Chain of custody stays on site, Rebecca said. He spread his hands. Let's not overreact. 2 hours ago your office asked to purge logs, Rebecca said, voice level. That's reaction. Kincaid's smile didn't move. The muscles around it braced. Ephemeral data, he said. Transients. Storage is expensive. So is felony obstruction, Rebecca said. A quiet fell across the room that wasn't fear and wasn't relief. It was attention. Even the printer thought about pausing. Kincaid tried a smaller tack. His gaze found Darren. We spoke, he said. Dispatch that script. No, Darren said, barely audible. Kincaid's tone chilled. Employee 48271. You are directed. Don't. Marcus said. Kincaid pivoted back. We can discuss we'll discuss here. Marcus said. He felt the costs stack up. A board call, a headline, a tomorrow where he would be the problem. He let it stack. He had been stacking the wrong things. Kincaid studied him, saw the immovable shape, and shifted to the next grip. You've exposed us to liability, he said. Undercover in your own store. Recording. I exposed a crime, Marcus said. Your method undermines. Our integrity was already undermined, Marcus said. By policy enforced as punishment, Kincaid's eyes flicked to the employees and back. He recalibrated his voice to perform empathy. We'll make everyone whole, he said to the room. We care. We. Stop, Maria said. She hadn't raised her voice. She didn't need to. It was the way she stood centered. No apology that quieted him. We don't need a speech, she said. We need the hours you took. We need the insurance you toggled. We need to stop waiting for 10 p.m. to learn if we eat. Kincaid opened his mouth, closed it, looked at Marcus like a man looking for backup and finding a mirror. Rebecca slid a phone across the table toward Maria. Let's make one call, she said. Your daughter's cardiology team. Speaker. Maria's hand trembled. She steadied it. She dialed. The ring came thin and long. A nurse answered, bright with fatigue. This is Thompson Enterprises. HR. Rebecca said, we're calling to confirm coverage for a dependent, pre-authorization for surgical intervention. Name, the nurse asked. Sofia Santos. Rebecca said, DOB on file. Authorization will be sent in the next hour. Maria listened to her child's name spinning in a new voice and pressed her palm to the table, like gravity had agreed to be kind for a moment. Elena put a hand on her shoulder. Tommy looked away to be polite about tears. Thank you, Maria whispered when the call ended. The printer resumed. 2 short sheets, 1 longer summary. The room exhaled. The motif had returned changed. It wasn't a warning anymore. It was a cadence of repair. Kincaid adjusted his cufflink like a man adjusting a thought. I need a room, he said to Marcus. Now, we have one, Marcus said, and gestured to the glass office. They stepped inside. The door sighed, sealing them into the smell of old coffee and ambition. The blinds threw gray bars across Kincaid's suit. You're burning goodwill, Kincaid said. We ran out, Marcus said. The board expects stability, Kincaid said. Not spectacle. Stability is the result, Marcus said. Not the lie. Kincaid stared. The recordings go nowhere, he said. They stay internal. They become what's necessary. Marcus said, you'll tank the stock. We'll earn it back. Marcus said, you asked me to keep labor costs down, Kincaid said, jaw tight. He delivered. You delivered rot, Marcus said. Kincaid's eyes cooled a degree. You'll regret this, he said. I've regretted worse, Marcus said. They stood, breathing the same recycled air, listening to the printer cough out restitution, like receipts for a different kind of purchase. Kincaid's phone vibrated on the desk, text banner sliding up. Legal, press inquiry pending. He locked the screen with a thumb harder than necessary. This isn't over, he said. It's starting, Marcus said. When they stepped back out, the break room had become an assembly line of small salvations. Cashier's checks lay drying in neat rows. Chain of custody tags dangled red like bright punctuation. A teen stalker updated the schedule board, copying a clean grid by hand, tongue caught in the corner of his mouth, with the concentration of someone drawing his first map. Maria stood at the head of a new table, a spiral notebook open, writing names under employee council nominations, with a pen that didn't bleed. The letters were careful. The line grew. Elena nudged a stack of gloves toward a cart. You need better ones, she told no one. We all do. Darren handed Rebecca a flash drive, knuckles white, breath shallow. Exported logs, he said. Screenshots. The script? I kept a copy off-site. Rebecca slid the drive into a bag, zipped it, weighed it, tagged it. You did the right thing, she said. I might get fired for it, Darren said. Marcus heard the line and knew it for what it was. The gate he would have to pass. Sacrifice was not theoretical. It always had a name. Not today, Marcus said. Stand with us. We'll stand with you. The intercom clicked alive and thought about music, then decided on silence. The store, for once, allowed it. Outside the break room window, the green LED above the locker hall blinked back to life. Steady, unapologetic, camera feed restored, evidence awake. Rebecca looked up at the clock. We have 90 minutes before payroll batch, she said. After that, everything is expensive. Then we sprint, Marcus said. He took the cracked acrylic from the old schedule and dropped it in the trash. It landed with a sound that wasn't quite glass and wasn't quite plastic. The room winced together and then smiled. Kincaid stepped into the hallway and put his phone to his ear, voice low and rapid. A printer in the front office, lonely and loyal, began to whir on its own. 2 pages, then a long run, 2 short, 1 long. The cadence had changed sides. By 10:42, the printer tray looked like a tidy miracle. Cashier's checks lay in rows that smelled faintly of ink and heat. Rebecca signed with a steady wrist, slid each into a windowed envelope, and stamped the corner with a blue rectangle that said, paid. Like a small, defiant shout, a chime broke the cadence. Not the intercom. Email. Rebecca's laptop lit. A subject line glared. Hold all disbursements pending legal review. Zender. D. Kincaid. She read once, twice. Her jaw set. Say it, Marcus said. Legal freeze. She answered, CFO won't validate the batch. How long? Elena asked. Indefinite. Rebecca said, that's short for never. The room's energy leaned forward and hit a wall. Tommy's hand hovered above his envelope like it had turned to ice. Maria stood by the employee council sheet. Ben Midir, breathing through her nose the way people breathe when rooms get small. Marcus took out his phone. He scrolled to a number he rarely used. Chair of the board. The line rang with the confidence of old money. Marcus. A voice said, smooth. We're in session. I need CFO authorization unlocked. Marcus said, now? You've created exposure. The chair replied, we need process. Process-enabled theft. Marcus said, alleged. The chair said gently, let counsel. People are owed wages today. Marcus said, we promised. Your promises outpaced governance. The chair said, step back. We'll draft a statement. In the break room, a toddler laughed at a sticker on his mother's badge. The sound hopped the threshold like an apology. Unlock it, Marcus repeated, or I resign. That's operatic. The chair said, we don't barter in ultimatums. We do now. Marcus said. A thin pause. Paper rustled through the phone. You're compromised. The chair said quietly. You went undercover. You recorded managers. Plaintiffs' firms will feast, then feed them with my job. Marcus said, not with their wages. Another pause. Then, no. He lowered the phone. The room read the answer on his face. Frozen, Elena asked. For now, he said. A second chime. Darren's tablet. He glanced, blanched, and turned the screen toward Marcus. A photo glowed there. Grainy, late-night blue. Darren in a different server room. Years ago, headphones on, an external drive in hand. The timestamp screamed with the wrong year. The kind of image that could be named breach by someone who needed it to be. Text from Kincaid. Run the purge, or this goes to compliance and to your parole officer. Darren's throat worked. I told you I messed up once, he said. It wasn't theft. I copied logs, whistle stuff. They made it look like he couldn't finish. Shame roughed his consonants. Maria stepped between him and the screen like a shield shaped from bone. Don't run it, she said. They'll eat you anyway. I could lose custody, he said. A truth falling out. The room shrank again. Rebecca read his screen, then raised her hand. A specialist brought a fresh pouch. She slid the tablet inside, zipped the red seal, weighed it, tagged the time, chain of custody. She said, he doesn't get to weaponize your past. He already did, Darren said. Marcus turned to the board again. He didn't call. He typed, company-wide message. From me. He wrote fast, short words. No polish. We discovered wage theft. We froze harm. We will pay what's owed. I went undercover. That's on me. If you fear retaliation, send it to me. Directly. We will not purge logs. If this costs me the job, that's a fair price. He hit send before fear could find a sentence. The building swallowed, then exhaled. Emergency authority. He said to Rebecca, use my code. Push the batch. You'll be censured. She said, noted. He said. She keyed her laptop, hesitated at the prompt, and looked up. Once, she said. Once, he agreed. She entered a string only 3 people knew. The screen thought about loyalty, then cleared, validated, blinked green, small and true. The printer grabbed a breath and returned to life. 2 short pages, 1 long. The motif came back as a parade. Elena pressed her fist to her lips and laughed. It came out cracked and happy. Tommy swore softly and didn't apologize. Priya covered her eyes and let her shoulders shake. A figure filled the doorway. Samitan, tighter smile. Kincaid, you'll like this, he said to Marcus. and held up his phone. A news alert glowed. CEO spied on workers. Recordings raise privacy questions. A smaller line, board source. Leadership review imminent. Congratulations, Kincaid said. You made a story. The story existed, Marcus said. We stopped pretending it didn't. Kincaid smiled with only half his mouth. Compliance will need your phone. Copies already with counsel. Rebecca said. Multiple copies. Spoliation is a word, Kincaid said, almost cheerful. So is felony. Rebecca replied. He stepped closer to the triage tables. Eyes on the envelopes. Freeze stand, he said. It stood, Rebecca said. She tapped the stack. Past tense. Kincaid's composure thinned. You don't have concurrence. I have receipts, she said. And I have the board, he said. Marcus's phone buzzed again. Board. Emergency session at 12. Sancher. A message just for him. Consider your position. What does that mean? Maria asked. It means we should go faster, Marcus said. He lifted the old schedule board page. New grid. He called 2 weeks. Fixed hours. Paid breaks. Logged only when taken. Who needs predictability? Hands shot up. Names. Children's pickups. Night classes. Bus timetables. Elena took notes like a stenographer in a trial that finally mattered. Kincaid paced to the glass office and shut the door on balance. His silhouette argued into a phone. The blinds turned him into horizontal code. Darren hovered near the power strip, expectant and wired. He'll burn me, he said. Marcus looked at him. He might. Darren nodded. Okay. Why okay? Marcus asked. Because she gets her check, Darren said, nodding toward Maria. Because Jenna stops peeing on a stopwatch. He swallowed. Because I'm tired of being scared by men with better suits. Maria stepped into the small circle of their talk. If you fall, she said, we catch. He laughed once, wet and short. I'm heavy, he said. Then we'll bring more hands, she said. The door opened. Kincaid emerged. Expression curated, voice pitched for a nearby camera that wasn't on. The board asks for your resignation, he said to Marcus, as if handing a cocktail menu. Effective immediately. Step aside. We normalize, fight, and we escalate. Escalate what? Marcus said. Everything. Kincaid said. Investor confidence, litigation, headlines. Step aside, and you keep the rot, Elena said from the table. This is governance. Kincaid said. Patience a blade, not a polling place. Maria looked at Marcus. She didn't plead. She didn't dare. She asked, You leaving? She said. He felt the weight of his face, the story he had told himself about control, the clean, insulated life where boardrooms loved him. No, he said. You'll be stripped, Kincaid said. Strip me, Marcus said. Kincaid's eyebrows climbed a millimeter. On the record, he asked. On the floor, Marcus said. He stepped onto a chair. It wobbled. He steadied it with a hand against the cement block wall. The break room ceiling tiles stared down, speckled and bored. Everyone, he said. I might lose my job in an hour. Silence collected like a debt. If that happens, he continued, we still pay you. We still fix the schedules. We still form the council. And if they try to stop that, I'll make a bigger mess. A laugh broke from somewhere. Not unkind. I'm sorry, he said, for what I didn't see. For what I built that allowed this. You deserved better words earlier. You'll get better dates now. He climbed down. The chair wobbled and caught. Kincaid watched, calculating, then moved in for his small victory. Your badge, he said. Marcus unpinned it. Gold flashed once unmistakable, unnecessary, and became weight in Kincaid's palm. The room made a sound he felt more than heard. A collective wince stitched to admiration and fear. Exit your device. Kincaid said, turn in passcodes. Rebecca held up a pouch. with a new red zip. Not without a receipt, she said. Kincaid signed the chain of custody tag, like a man signing at gunpoint. Satisfied. For now, Rebecca said. He turned toward the door and nearly collided with a woman in a cheap blazer, press badge askew, microphone tucked in like an apology. She blinked at the tableau and smiled like a shark doing customer service. Off the record, she asked. No, Marcus said. Kincaid hissed. Don't. On. Marcus said to the reporter, you want a quote? Put this one in your story. We stole from our people. We're paying it back. If I'm the cost, that's fair. The reporter's pen clattered in her brain. She nodded too much and backed away. The camera that wasn't there felt very present. Maria's phone vibrated. She glanced down. A text from an unknown number. Council is a union. Sweetheart, careful. She looked up slowly, as if lifting something heavier than shame. Her face didn't break. It set. Who sent it? Elena asked. Blocked, Maria said. She held the screen to Rebecca. We add threats to the log. Absolutely, Rebecca said, voice clip. Harassment is evidence. The clock above the microwave clicked to 12. Arshabah. The intercom tried on a jazz loop, found it too hopeful, and went quiet. Refrigerator compressors thrummed. Somewhere a pallet jack squealed in complaint. Tommy slid the last check across to Jenna. She held it like a bird she wasn't sure how to handle. You earned it, he said. Soft. She nodded. I forgot what that felt like. Kincaid checked his watch like a man checking a sale. 2 minutes, he said to Marcus. Final offer. Go convene. Marcus said. I'll be right here. With them? Kincaid asked, almost amused. With them, Marcus said. Kincaid left, heels clicking a metronome that believed in itself too much. The door sighed shut behind him. Marcus looked around the room and saw what he had always claimed to serve. Not metrics, not margins. People. Tired. Funny. Furious. Capable. He let the loss form not the job title, but the disguise, the illusion that leadership is clean. Maria, he said. Yes. If I'm out, you run this floor, he said. No permission. Do it. I already started, she said. He smiled. It surprised him by hurting. The printer hiccuped, then fell into a new rhythm. 2 short, 1 long. It sounded like a heartbeat, learning a better pace. At 12, Arshajo. The glass office felt colder than the sales floor. The blinds threw gray bars on the whiteboard like a jail for ideas. A speakerphone waited at center stage, a black puck with tiny green eyes. On the desk, 2 sealed pouches, each tagged and time-stamped. Rebecca's laptop opened to payroll. A printed list of names with checks issued. Marcus stood, palms flat on the desk's edge, breathing like someone about to dive. Rebecca sat to his left, pen aligned with notebook. Maria took the spare chair, spine straight, scuffed shoe braced against the floor. Outside, the break room hummed like a generator of attention. The puck chirped. 2 short, 1 long. Board in session. The chair's voice said, warmth. Curated. Roll call. Please. Names answered in crisp succession. Kincaid closed the door and slid in opposite Marcus. T. Reknotet. Smile repaired. He placed his phone screen down as if hiding a secret under glass. The chair continued. Agenda Item 1. Leadership Review. Mr. Thompson, you initiated disruptive actions. Explain. Marcus met the blind stripes and found his words inside them. A manager stole wages, manipulated benefits, threatened staff. We documented. We paid restitution. Alleged. A director cut in. Rebecca lifted a pouch. Chain of custody. Printed logs. Time cards. User IDs. She said. B. Miller 01 toggled status at 02. C. Sharar. We bagged the script Kincaid sent to Purge. A rustle through the line. Another director. Purge. Kincaid leaned in. Voice even. Ephemeral transience. Space management. It practice. Rebecca didn't blink. Script name. Purge. Temp. Rolling. Bat. Targeted camera overlays. Access events. Schedule deltas. That's not housekeeping. The chair's silence thickened. Mr. Kincaid, taken out of context, he said. Legal advised retention risk on recordings. Legal advised after you ordered deletion, Rebecca replied. Kincaid smiled without teeth. We'll adjudicate internally. The press has the story already. Our liability is in the spycraft. Liability is in theft, Marcus said. We protect shareholders. A director said. We are stealing from the shareholders when we rot the core, Rebecca said, voice flat as a ledger. The chair returned, soft authority turning harder. We must contain exposure. Mr. Thompson, going undercover violates policy. I wrote the policy, Marcus said. It failed. Maria spoke for the first time, voice low and steady. You can fix policy later. People missed rent today. On the speaker, someone exhaled audible ethics. The chair coughed it away. Ms. Santos, she said, custodial, 3 years. The board appreciates your service. The chair said, you appreciated my silence. She replied. Kincaid's mouth twitched. With respect, this is not. Rebecca slid the second pouch forward. We also bagged a blackmail text to an associate. Archive or we call parole. Mr. Kincaid, it came from your office range. That's ridiculous, he said quickly. Spoofed. Marcus clicked a pen. The sound felt like a trigger. We aren't here to perform innocence, he said. We're here to decide priorities. Priority 1, stabilize markets. A director said. Mr. Don Thompson, step down. Interim CEO installs. Messaging, isolated incident. We move on. Move on from restitution, Maria asked. That's an operational matter, the director said. It's a moral one. She answered. Noise ragged the line. The chair restored temperature. Vote on a motion to place Mr. Thompson on immediate administrative leave. Discussion. Before you vote, Marcus said, authorize today's checks. Authorize anti-retaliation. Authorize an employee council pilot. Put it in the minutes. Or, the chair asked, or your leave means nothing. He said, no bargaining. Kincaid snapped. He's cornering governance. Rebecca lifted her eyes. He's offering a cost. The chair sighed. Call the question. A secretary read names. I. Reluctant A. 1 no. 2 abstain. Motion carries. The chair said. Mr. Thompson is on leave, pending review. Maria looked at the table. You've set. She did not look at him. Second motion, Marcus said quietly. Authorize restitution and council pilot. Kincaid laughed once. You're not in the room, Marcus. I'm still on this call, he said. A director cleared her throat. We gain more by paying quickly, she said. Press will eat our delay. Approve the checks. Launch a limited pilot to to learn. The secretary took the vote. Half eyes aligned like soldiers. The rest followed. Motion carries. The chair said, restitution today. Council pilote at 4 stores. Mr. Kincaid oversees. No, Marcus said. Papers rustled. Offended. You no longer assign. The chair said. He ordered a purge. Rebecca said. He cannot oversee evidence. Kincaid sat very still. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. The blinds striped him into a barcode. Assign it to HR. The director who liked headlines said, Public likes Chen. Approved. The chair said, Ms. Chen leads. Kincaid's jaw flexed. He found a smile, placed it precisely. Fine, he said. We'll be collaborative. Maria looked at him with something like pity. Don't ever text my phone again, she said. He blinked. Excuse me, I know it was you, she said. Your voice isn't private. The line quieted in a way that meant the board was adjusting its idea of her. The chair cleared his throat. Thank you. Maison. Santos. You may step out. I'll stay, she said. She stays. Marcus echoed. Kincaid's patience frayed. We have to contain the narrative, he said. Legal wants your device. Marcus, send it to my office. Pouches sealed. Rebecca said. Custody logged. It goes to independent counsel. Chain of custody belongs to me, Kincaid said. It belongs to the company. She replied. You are not the company. The puck chirped again. 2 quick notes. 1 long. A new voice entered, thin with newsroom fatigue. Apologies to interrupt. I'm on with media. They have the audio. Publishing at 1. The chair pinched the bridge of his nose. How? Whistle channel. The voice said. Anonymous. Kincaid stared at Darren's absence like it personally offended him. Felony leak, he hissed. Or the sound of us keeping receipts, Rebecca said. The chair rallied. We make a statement at 12. Woo-sha-woo. We discovered. We made whole. Mr. Thompson, you do not appear. I'll be in the break room, he said. That would be unwise. The chair said. Write me up, he said. Meeting adjourned. The chair said, and the green eyes on the puck went out. Silence pressed the room. Rebecca wrote 3 lines, each a clean sentence. Maria rubbed her forearm once and let go. Leave it, Marcus told himself, and then said aloud, I'm out. We know, Rebecca said. He looked at Maria. You run this. I'm not trained, she said. You're ready, he said. You were yesterday. Kincaid rose, smoothing the front of his suit. You'll regret this, he told Marcus, as if reciting a prayer over a rival's bed. I regret what I didn't do sooner, Marcus said. Kincaid opened the door and walked into a wall of sound. The break room cheered something sharp, real, unscripted. The smell of toner and hot paper rushed in like a victory parade had learned to whisper. They stepped out. The room had changed shape. Envelopes were in hands. People were on phones calling landlords, doctors, parents who had learned not to hope. Elena stood by a fresh schedule grid, drawing straight lines with a ruler that trembled only a little. Tommy read names for the council nominations, as if calling winners. Effective today, Rebecca announced, voice carrying, benefits toggles corrected. Restitution issued. Council pilot forming. Applause sounded like metal shelves, shaking and then settling. Kincaid took a single step forward. Let's be clear, he said. This is a good faith gesture. We admit no wrongdoing. No recordings will. Darren's voice cut in from the doorway, surprisingly loud. We kept copies. Heads turned. He held up a USB drive in one hand like a relic. In the other, his phone, screen bright with a message from compliant. We received your materials. We'll protect you. The word protect looked ridiculous and hopeful. You're fired, Kincaid told him. No, Marcus said. I don't report to you, Kincaid said. Today you do, Marcus said. He looked at Rebecca. Find an assignment for him. Rebecca nodded at Darren. Server hardening, she said. In daylight, people laughed. Darren laughed last, the kind that leaves a scar you can live with. Marcus stepped onto a chair again. The break room ceiling lowered in to listen. I'm on leave, he said. Maybe worse in an hour. The room stilled. Coins paused in vending spirals. If I go, he continued, you keep going. Council meets. Schedules stabilise. If anyone is threatened, text the hotline on the board. It routes to Rebecca. And to me, for now. Maria raised the pen over the nominations page. We need 2 volunteers from each department. she said, and one from overnight. Hands rose like plants after rain. Kincaid's phone vibrated. Insistent, he checked, paled by a tone. The headline had gone live. The audio was out. The comments scrolled faster than spin. "You've set precedent," he told Marcus, almost awed. "Every store will expect this." "Good," Marcus said. He climbed down from the chair. The plastic creaked and held. He picked up a fallen caution wet floor sign and set it correctly. Yellow triangle, bright against gray tile. The intercom clicked. Someone at customer service picked a station that played something old and honest. The compressors hummed in tune. The clock rolled to 12. "Woo-sha-woo. Press statement time," Rebecca said. "Do it from here." Marcus said, "Not the podium." She lifted her phone, framed the room. Tables, push, checks, faces. She hit live. The red dot blinked awake. "Thompson Enterprises has failed some of its people," Rebecca said to the lens. "Today, we made part of that right. We will do more. Employees who were harmed will be made whole. Those who harmed will be removed. We won't purge evidence. We invite regulators in. No slogan, no spin." She ended it. The room exhaled. Kincaid slipped away toward the front, shouting quietly into a call that would begin his audit. Maria finished the nominations list. Tommy fetched a stapler that only worked if you begged it. Elena taped the new grid to the cork and stepped back as if hanging a painting. Marcus stood very still and let the loss arrive. Title: Privilege. The useful lie that leadership could be clean if you were clever. He grieved it briefly and put it down. Maria approached with the notebook. "We need a tiebreaker for council rules," she said. "Odd seats, or even odd," he said. "It keeps us honest." She smiled. "Small and true. Go face your board." "You'll face more," he said. "I'll bring more hands," she said. He nodded and walked toward the glass office. The blinds caught him, striped him, let him go. The speakerphone on the desk watched with its green eyes. The puck chirped again, too short, one long as if the building itself were learning a new rhythm and trying it on for size. 6 months later, Detroit traded winter for a clean, indifferent blue. Inside the convention hall, light fell through ceiling trusses like belief, trying to take a shape. The National Retail Federation stage wore a tasteful banner, "Leadership from the ground up." Microphones waited like questions. Backstage, Marcus clipped a loaner badge to a plain jacket. No gold crest. The laminate read Guest M. Thompson in font that didn't know him. He rubbed the edge with a thumb until it warmed. Rebecca leaned in from the wing, a legal pad tucked under her arm, though she didn't need it. 5 minutes, she said. "Any updates?" he asked. Kincaid agreed to cooperate. She said, "Internal audit complete. External subpoenas land Monday." "He's out. Self-destruction plays by the clock," Marcus said. "Hubris keeps good time," she said. "We settled Phase I. Checks cleared at 11:07 today. I kept the receipts." "Of course you did." A tech tapped the mic twice. The room answered with a murmur and an impatient cough. Too quick. One held. The motif had followed them to a different kind of floor. "Where's Maria?" he asked. "Front row," Rebecca said, "next to Elena and Tommy. Darren's a few seats back." "Hoodie, tie, both wrong." "Good," he said, and meant it deeper than a line. A runner handed him the script. He folded it. "I'll tell it," he said. "You might lose the job for good." Rebecca said, "I already lost the disguise." Marcus replied, "The job can choose me later, or not." The host called his name. Applause rose, curious, cautious, a little hungry. He walked into a light that offered no mercy and plenty of clarity. "Last year," he began, "I thought we were healthy. We weren't. We were quiet. No grand cadence. No 7-syllable words. He laid out timestamps instead of adjectives. Lingar, 42. A benefits toggle. Lingwu, 30. A call answered. Surar, 55. A statement made from a break room. Not apodium. He named the chain of custody pouches by their tag numbers. He let silence do the metaphors. Screens behind him flashed the dull beauty of process. Log lines, redacted transcripts. Chain tags with grams recorded. Check. Stups, stumped, pied. The audience leaned forward at the comfort of documentation. When we tell the truth with paperwork, he said, it travels. He gestured to the aisle. Maria rose. The room's attention recalibrated. The way a camera finds the subject it should have chosen first. She wore a blazer the color of coffee and a ring of sleep under her eyes that hard days had not managed to steal. She manages one of our best stores now, Marcus said, not because she suffered, but because she leads. Maria didn't wave. She nodded once. The way you nod to people who have more work to do. Elena lifted a hand, wrist brace replaced by a thinner support. She had upgraded the tool that held her together. Tommy flashed a grin and then remembered where he was. Darren's hoodie looked like a man wearing armor. Someone told him wasn't regulation. Marcus kept going. We launched a council, he said. Not a slogan, a structure. Elected peers. Binding recommendations. 2 seats held for night shift. Slides appeared. A table of names under worker-verified employment standard. The certification Maria had pitched and built. Bullet points avoided marketing and insisted on mechanics. Surprise, audit, anonymous worker surveys, grievable timelines that couldn't be buried in holidays. A QR code led to the rules. Public and dull in the blessed way, the right rules are dull. 12 retailers signed on. He said, 14 are in review. We rejected 3. A buzz at that refusing business sounded like a story you told when profits were fans rather than oxygen. We recovered $3 million across the first cohort. He added, paid with interest, not apology. He let the number sit, weighty and exact. No crescendo. Just the check that cleared. He didn't name the board fight. He didn't have to. The industry had read the headlines, then the documents, then the comments from night workers with usernames that knew how to speak carefully. People in the first few rows looked at him with the wary respect you reserve for someone who did the right thing, the most inconvenient way. He closed with a picture, not him under lights, but a Polaroid of a renovated break room windows unblocked, tables unshipped, a microwave that didn't add a smell. The caption beneath, printed in the loopy confidence of a teen stalker, best place to work. Employee's choice. The room laughed, then quieted at its own sincerity. He felt the speech end before the final line. He let it. Leadership from the ground up means 2 sentences. He said, I'm sorry. I'll fix it. Applause found itself. Not thunder, not polite. Something in between that promised not to disappear when the email arrived. Backstage again. He took a breath that found his back and stayed. A shadow fell soft shoes. Careful shoulders. Maria, that line works. She said. It's not a line, he said. She nodded. I brought you something. She handed him a small paper bag, folded twice. He opened it. Inside lay a silver name badge, its magnet scuffed, the engraved letters bright despite everything. M. Santos Store Manager. I had a new one made, she said. This one did its job. He turned the badge over. The back bore a tiny ding at the corner, a survivor's dimple. You keep it, he said. She shook her head. For the next person who forgets what names weigh. They walked into the lobby. where booths sold solutions that swore they could measure humanity without touching it. Darren jogged to catch up, brandishing a laminated vendor pass like a talisman. "Our server passed the audit," he said. "No more ranch dressing on lenses." Elena joined, holding a printed schedule grid with straight lines and the satisfying sameness of predictability. "We finally posted 2 weeks ahead," she said. "We got fewer sick calls because people could plan sleep." Tommy launched in, breathless. "Teen council reps want barcode training, and we started peer coaching. Turns out teaching is better than yelling." "Wild," Marcus said. A ripple moved through the crowd. Reporters on their second coffee rearranged their posture. The former CFO, since reassigned to a consultancy that specialized in regret, passed at a distance. Than dimmer, smile less adhesive. Kincaid wasn't here. He had learned the old lesson: overreach is punctual, and it brings its own scissors. From his pocket, Marcus slid an index card he'd started carrying after the leave letter. On it, 3 phrases he couldn't afford to forget. Document before declaring. Restore before reforming. Leave room for the person who will be braver than you. Maria looked at the card, then at him. "You going back?" she asked. "To the title," he said. "To the floor," she said. He smiled. "Tomorrow. I owe inventory account." They stepped outside. The midday sun did what fluorescents want to and never quite manage. Across the street, a kid pushed a cart that kept arguing with the curb. A man in a suit, maybe a director, maybe a cousin, stopped to help. The cart went over. Grocery survived. Marcus's phone vibrated. A message from the board. Interim extended. Search ongoing. A second from Rebecca. Regulators want our playbook. I gave them the boring version. And a third from an unknown number. A grainy photo of a locker hall in a different state. A different store. Same blinking LED green. Steady. Caption. We heard. We're ready. He forwarded it to the council list. Typed 4 words. Keep the receipts. Always, and hit send. Coffee? Maria asked. Please, he said. They found a diner that hadn't changed since Dignity wore a different cut of cloth. The waitress called everybody Han and meant it. The clock over the pie case clicked loud enough to be trusted. 2 taps from the kitchen hood, 1 longer from the espresso pull. The motif had decided to be kind today. Maria pulled out a folder, thick with proposals. Sticky notes like flags. Certification Phase 2, she said. Add mental health days. Predictable part-time. And an anti-stalker clause. Anti-stalker. If supervisors text at midnight, the hours count, she said. They learn the cost of other people's sleep. He laughed into his cup. Draft it. She slid across a page. Council Charter Amendment 3. The language was bone clean. In the margin, a note in Tommy's handwriting. Teach the teachable, fire the mean. You're building a language, Marcus said. We're building muscle memory. She corrected, so the next person doesn't have to be brave to be safe. He looked at her and saw the nearest thing to leadership he'd ever believed in. Not a person on a stage, a room that refused to be quiet. They left the diner to the chime of a doorbell that had learned every kind of goodbye. On the sidewalk, he offered back the badge. She closed his fingers over it. Keep it, she said. It reminds you the floor knows. At the crosswalk, the signal hesitated and then decided. They stepped off the curb. Somewhere, a ringtone tried for power, too short, one long and failed to sound like anything but a warning that had outlived its usefulness. Maria looked up at the sky, then at him. Listen, she said. He did. The city answered in ordinary sounds that didn't require permission. Buses sighing. Estola squeaking. Someone sweeping a storefront, with the rhythm of a person who knew work and knew why. He pocketed the badge. It sat against his leg, with the gravity of a small, permanent truth. The light changed. Traffic paused. They crossed. At the far curb, she said it. The last line the story had earned. Remember who signs the floor. At its heart, this story isn't about a CEO, a scandal, or a company. It's about what happens when silence breaks. The sound of too short. One long reminds us that integrity often begins in the smallest, most private moments, choosing to speak up when the room prefers quiet, refusing to look away when that's just how things are. It teaches that fairness isn't an abstract principle, it's built, minute by minute, on choices made by people who decide that decency matters more than convenience. In life, we're all part of systems, families, workplaces, communities that sometimes reward silence over honesty. But as the saying goes, sunlight is the best disinfectant. The moment we dare to tell the truth, we invite light into places that have long been dark. Marcus's story asks us to see that leadership isn't a title, it's the courage to do what's right when the cost is personal. And Maria's reminds us that dignity has no rank, that every voice, no matter how quiet, can change the rhythm of an entire room. If you've ever stayed silent out of fear or watched injustice pass because it wasn't your place, remember, your place is exactly where the silence lives. Break it kindly, but break it. What part of this story spoke to you most? Have you ever witnessed or faced a moment where speaking up made all the difference? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your story. If this story moved you, hit like to support the message and subscribe for more powerful human stories that make us think, feel, and remember who we are. Wishing you peace, clarity, and the quiet courage to choose what's right even when no one is watching.